Would I have to go to a creek bed in Colorado? Would I have to go up to Alaska? Would I have to go to Africa?
But
Where would you go? Like, if you were trying to find a similar material, where would you go?
wasn't part of it though that they were like through the CT scan and stuff is that this isn't a rock that you just find necessarily in nature. I thought that was kind of the takeaway. It's like, because I think what Yup was saying earlier is like there's always this like natural kind of like distribution of the different elements in the rock that performs patterns and stuff like that, right? This rock was literally like purely uniform.
Yeah.
And that's just not something that's really found in nature.
Dude, have you been paying attention to the Johnny Depp Amber trial?
Yeah, it's so comical, dude.
It's so fucking hilarious, dude. I feel so bad for him. I just hope that when he comes out on top and he wins this court battle, he just goes on like a banging spree and just bangs anything that fucking moves.
That's what you do. Yeah, if you're Johnny Depp, you'd be like,
You'd be doing it right now anyway.
Yeah.
Dude, that motherfucker, man. Like, yeah. He's like, even his ex-wife who like didn't really like him is like some fucking just like some star from France or some shit. She came out with like
best.
she's like, yeah, she's like, well, he's she's like, we don't get along or whatever, but like he's like the nicest guy in the world who would never hurt a fly. I mean, he's pretty epic.
He's always acting like a pirate, but he's really nice.
And
like there was one tweet that was like, she's like, it was so boring just sitting around all the time with Johnny Depp and his old friends playing guitar, and I was like, dude, I would spend the day hanging out with Johnny Depp. Playing guitar would be badass.
Well, at least his friends don't shit the bed.
Oh
my God. Now, would you get a new mattress or would you just flip the mattress?
If let's put some context here.
It's Johnny Depp. You could get like a $50,000 mattress tomorrow, dude.
No, I mean any of your wives.
Oh, I mean, I've had dogs and cats piss on my furniture a million times, man. They vomit, assholes.
With the urine,
Whatever.
you just pull a Seinfeld and just flip the mattress.
What you gotta do is get one of those mattress cover things that go underneath the blankets, right?
Yeah,
so
we got
like,
one for kids.
Yeah, that's
We have one actually
right there.
Is that called? Is that
I
called?
got one for our big bed too. I forgot, but it's you don't
Hell
have to.
yeah.
You don't have. He's like a. You barely get. You can't tell it's there. It's like a soft material.
It protects the mattress. I'm just
I mean,
yeah. How about that guy in Buffalo today?
I was talking about that. Yeah.
me something about it, yeah.
Racist motherfucker too.
And there was another shooting where
people are all just crazy, man.
There was another shooting where somebody walked into like a hair salon place and shot 3 people, and then there was a shooting after a ball game.
Oh, wait, what was the hair salon thing? That's recent. It was like the thing that happened like a year or two ago, right? But it was like recent.
No, I thought there was recent one that happened, and there was a shooting after.
The Asian one was like a year ago. Is that the one you're talking about?
No, but I think there was a new one.
There was a new one.
Yeah. I was just differentiating.
That's what I'm saying. There was the old one, and then there's a new one. It's like the same shit.
Yeah, and then there was also a shooting after a ball game last night. I think. I want to say in Milwaukee. Yeah, it's not like after an Oakland like game. I mean,
Oakland A's game, dude. There's like 20 fans there. There's like
Does New York
can find that guy?
Huh?
Does New York have death penalty?
I doubt that.
I don't know if they have the death penalty.
People don't count the cost because you have 10 people like that. Say it ends up being 10. Each one of those individuals, like somebody else's lives are ruined too, and like
all their families.
Yeah, you just destroyed maybe fucking like literally maybe like 70 lives or 100 lives, just those 10 alone. Let alone if anybody else dies or anybody else is paralyzed or you hear these things in the news like 2-3 people were shot, but they're okay. They survived, but like Yeah, you get shot, you fucked up the rest of your life, dude. You get shot in the belly, dude. Like fucking your bowel up forever. You shot like your hip, it shatters your hip. You'll never walk normal again. Spine, you're paralyzed. Like people get hit, it's like wounded's kind of a big deal. It kind of gets downplayed in our society, I feel like, dude. But like that's
What?
yeah, he destroyed all these lives. You can't fix him because anybody who would do that is a fucking psychopath. It's like fucked up. Their brain is broken. So
Well,
why on earth do we have to pay taxes to feed this kid now? So I don't know.
Yeah,
Well,
I get it.
but it
Yeah.
it costs more in the long run. I think it was in Georgia, maybe somebody actually requested death by
I saw that.
fi-
He chose
firing
death by
squad.
firing squad. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm wondering how that is. It just one dude who shoots?
I'd rather
him,
do
or
that
is
than
it-
have like 19 things injected in me, dude. Like
Well, so
on that
so
fucking crucifix thing, like that
so
table.
they're saying like I think he chose that because he's thinking that it's less painful, because if they just shoot you right in the head, you're
But-
maybe a few seconds, but you're just going to be out.
But how
versus,
far
like-
away are these guys? They're like 20 feet away.
Yeah,
They might just like, oh, whoops, got you in the foot.
Right.
You know?
Usually the way they do that is they don't like. There's a portion of them that have blanks, and a portion of them have bullets, and they'll never know who was who, and that's like how they psychologically like kind of I generally protect them or like a little bit.
Right.
Yeah, I'm
but-
sure they all
but-
talking like, I bet it was you.
But I've heard that,
Had to
that
do
I-
so-
I've heard that-
If you handle weapons a lot, you'd be able to tell the difference in a
Mhm.
kick.
I've heard that the death by the needle is supposed to be like really painful. You suffer a lot. I'm not sure if there's a gas chamber
It's
anymore.
super quick though, dude.
No, apparently it's not. Apparently it's not. Not as quick as people.
I've
think.
read that you paralyze your ass, and then when you're paralyzed, it's like you're like
Yeah.
Fuck that shit. Well, that's what you get.
Yeah, no, I don't feel bad about him.
Yeah.
I just don't like. I don't see what the point of any of that is. It's like I say, like use don't make it a sadistic thing. Just even though, like if it was my family, I'd want to light them on fire. But just if you're the officials, you're the authorities, you just take him out and fucking be back, or to wherever his grave is, and push him in there and bury him.
Yeah. And then it's
$1 billion.
Schmillion.
I'll
I
take
always say that
$2,000.
shit in class, dude.
$2,000.
I'm like billion, billion, and no one, dude,
no one gets it.
no one understands any movie quotes I ever say anymore. I was like hanging to a thread before
Daddy,
COVID.
would you like
Now it's
some
like no one.
sausage? Daddy, would you like some sausages?
Oh, dude, no, you can't say that one in class for sure.
On the backwards man.
That might work. I say,
I walk back as
Geneva,
fast
you
as you
hear
can.
Helsinki.
I walk back as fast as you can. That's so funny, dude.
That's a good one.
Oh, that's funny.
He fingered. He looks at his finger. He
Got my fingers crossed.
fingered him. He fingered Freddy.
No, dude, the first time I watched that shit, I was like, this is the dumbest ever. And then after I watched it like 3-4 times, like, oh my God.
This is so funny. Keep your fingers crossed.
Hey,
Freddy.
your name is showing up. I don't know if you want that.
Oh, yeah.
Fucker.
I told you
hold
earlier,
up.
dude.
I can fix it.
I had to
I
blur
just don't know
everybody's
those.
thing out.
I might have to log out. I don't know. God damn
Should really
it.
change it.
It says
Hey.
some guy. Oh, I changed my actual account name to some guy. Fuck. It should be display name. It's gonna be a gap in
Remember
time.
Incognitus, you know that dude? Like,
The Roswell Rock was founded in 2004 by a hunter near the crash site, the famous crash site at Roswell in 1947. It was founded just outside of the city of Roswell. Really interesting. Like, I mean, if you put it on some guy.
you keep saying founded, like I founded this rock.
Oh, like founded like location. No, it's about not like that big or so. It's really small.
Yeah, I was surprised. It was definitely smaller than I did. Like when you finally saw it in the dude's hand in that documentary, like you're like, holy shit, yeah, it was quite a bit
It was
smaller.
it was about the size of your palm.
Yeah, and it's like at first you think, oh, this is just some random thing, but like you said, it was found right outside the skip site, as they say, where lots of debris was supposedly scattered when the crash happened in, was it 1947? And that the government supposedly did a really good job of cleaning that place up, because even though there been some weird things they found over the years, like really itsy bitsy tiny bitsy things, right? There's not much out there to find. And so like that guy, like you said, what was that guy's name? I have it here, Robert Ridge. He's the guy who found the rock. He was hunting for deer in the desert area over there. At that time of the year, supposedly lots of deer. And he saw this rock supposedly that just looked out of place. And he even admitted, like, probably lots of people just walked right past that thing and never saw it, because it's just a random little tiny rock on the ground. But once you start looking into, like, this rock is not natural to this environment, right? And you add up all these other things, it's really quite a bizarre thing that probably, my guess is, not many people know that this exists. That's my guess, across the whole US or world or whatever, you know what I mean?
I mean, I definitely agree. Like a lot of stuff we talk about, Coral Castle, just one example. A lot of stuff is like not that well known.
No, but this rock though is pretty interesting. They did a bunch of tests on it, and it was interesting how the geologists couldn't narrow down the type of material that the rock is made of.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think we could dive deeper into that here, absolutely. But I do want to say, like, what this rock is like. You kind of see behind my head. Yeah. Oh, you see that? That's the rock. Now, that thing is bizarre because they've actually proven that the incisions in the rock, first of all, that they actually protrude out of the rock. You know, when you think, I'm going to sketch something into a tree or rock or the sand or whatever, you're putting the stick in there, whatever it is, and sketching it into the stuff. This design comes out of it. So the first question is that actually part of the rock, or did someone like kind of paste that thing on there? And all the evidence, of course, have shown that that's literally part of the same rock. So,
but if it's protruding, then it came from a much larger piece,
potentially, or was it just not much larger than the rock itself?
Right.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Right. So there's a lot of things with this rock. One thing we have to consider is that there's a clear magnetism associated with the rock, meaning that if you put a magnet in certain places in the rock, it starts to actually spin. Now, what rock do you know of that you've picked up in your life that could fit in your hand? You'd be like, yes, this is a magnetic rock, right? Rocks are typically just rocks, but some can hold properties of magnetism. But this is bizarre because on the sketch, in those little circles right there, the circles seem to indicate a north and south magnetic field. So one of them, you put the magnet on it and it spins clockwise. The other one, you put the magnet on it, it spins counterclockwise.
That was like one of the crazier things that like just like, see with your own eyes, proven right there. So magnet.
It happens.
Yeah.
So when you look at the science of it, right, because it's got kind of like two poles, and they actually verified this through some engineering devices that, well, one of the holes the magnetic field is coming out of, and then what happens with the magnetic field is it then kind of comes out, and then it protrudes down to the lower end, kind of like a south pole, north pole, south pole, right? And so how can that happen in a rock with a weird design on it? And when they measured it, there's a significant amount of field energy coming out of those circles. It's quite amazing.
And they studied all the edges of the rock, and the most magnetized part of the rock was the protruding portion of it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they even did tests, right, to show that, okay, is there a magnet inside this rock?
They
Nope,
and
there's not. They did
but
CT scans.
yeah, and so the CT scan, it didn't show that. I thought it didn't show that there wasn't one. I just thought it showed that it was too dense that they actually couldn't see through it. I thought. I was confused about what the results of the CT scan brought up, because I just thought it was so dense that they actually couldn't see if there was anything in there.
My understanding was that the evidence showed that there cannot be a magnet in here. But maybe I misinterpreted the results, but
And then
it is very uniform density, and that's that's not normal with magnetism.
yeah, but under the when they looked deep into the holes, they saw little like magnites or the little specks that the geologists thought were I don't know if it's magnites or magnets, the little
Magnetite, I think it's
magnetite. Yeah. So they saw it on at least the surface of it, but the only way to see how deep it goes is if you cut that fucker in half.
There's other things that were interesting about it, like when the geologist was talking about like how the color is like consistent all around it, and it's clear, and they could tell it wasn't painted. But normally a rock, there's going to be like some color variation. That was another big one. That was really interesting.
Yeah, and then it was interesting how he said it is not that rock in Roswell in that area is not natural to that location, that it's typically limestone.
Yes.
And limestone is really easy to cut through, and he actually took out one and cut through it. This is more a typical
very strong
rock you would find in
like a creek or something.
Yeah.
Because of the rounded edge. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the dude who was doing the stone cutting, there was definitely difference in the stone cutting example when he tried to mirror the same image on a different rock.
Oh, they tried to do the sandblaster. Yeah.
Right, but
hey,
they
keep talking, guys. Keep talking. I'll be right back.
Yeah, but I thought it. There was a clear difference. I'm wondering.
Oh, clear precision wise in microscopic level, it's crazy.
Right. It was nuts how much of a difference there is. You could see the original rock, and then the actual sandblasted one. Do they have one that could use water to blast it?
I don't think so. I mean, to make this the sand blast one, or
no, like, so instead of using sand or air to blast it, they use water.
I don't think we possess technology that would do it on that precise of a level.
Okay.
Obviously we have the level to cut it with water, right?
Yeah.
But that was, I mean, as far as I know, we don't have any technology that would let water cut it on that small of a scale. Right. Because you think of the precisions, they kept comparing it to a place in Bolivia. What's it called? Pumapunku?
I think, didn't we talk about that?
We never had a podcast on it, but it probably got brought up at some point. Yeah. It's like what those ones where you see those big H blocks. They're like huge H blocks.
Yeah. And they don't know how they're ancient. They don't know how they actually created them with just bones and just other rocks and all that crap.
Yeah, I mean, they've done studies like we either have like diamond saws or some technology that we don't understand to create these things. And so you imagine those are humongous, right? Huge, like 20 feet tall, probably like tens of tons is my guess. Something is made out of granite and stuff. So now when you see that at a microscopic level, with this rock,
on a rock that
it's
literally
just insane.
It's smaller than the palm. It fits in the palm of your hand.
Yeah. And so to me, is so much evidence that shows that, okay, the sandblaster guy, for instance, he made a really nice replica. It looked just like it, right?
Under a microscope.
But when you look at a microscope, not even anywhere compared the same, right? The precision of it is insane. And so, and then the one thing, maybe I'll wait for this guy to come back, but that crop field shit. Did you see that shit?
Oh, I forgot. It's
that shit. The fact that it's the same design
And did you catch the date at when that crop field was founded, or when that image in the crop field was founded? I didn't catch
Yeah. But so that okay. Hold on, let me look it up because I
that
I bet
same
I have
image
it. I
was
thought that the
founded.
crop field was like 10 years before the Roswell
Okay.
Rock, but I don't, I gotta make sure.
So, but that
Shit.
same image was founded in a wheat field in the UK, like 4,000 miles
Oh,
away.
crop circle in 1996. So
Okay,
when was
so
the
8 years.
10 years?
2004.
Okay, it's like 10 years. Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah,
Okay.
8.
8. Okay. So
Yeah.
but the crop field is humongous. It's like 120 feet long. And
Yeah.
they're like talking about how this is like precise. There's no, they literally have eyewitness reports where like small plane pilots fly over the same field, passenger and pilot. 30 minutes later, that shit appeared.
Yeah.
And it's literally that right there.
And
it's the exact same thing. I'm
wondering if they didn't do this, but I'm wondering if you had more time, if the measurements would be the same in terms of like I'm forgetting how to put this, but
like the proportions.
If the proportions would be, how off would they be?
Well, supposedly they took images of this thing and scaled it down to the version of the rock, and it's literally the exact to the nail proportion. And by the way, that crop circle that was in England, I believe, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's big. It's pretty big thing.
When was that?
When? 1996, as far as I saw.
And when did he find the coin?
2004.
Right. The rock was after, but it doesn't necessarily mean anything, right? Because that's just when it was found. But it's relatively, it's pretty close to the same time, right?
And what I would be wondering is, and the geologist didn't say this, but I would have asked, and maybe they did, and they just didn't put it in the episode, but I would have asked, where would I find a similar type of rock? Like, where would I have to go in the world to find a similar type of rock?
Yeah, if there is anything, yeah.
If there is anything, would I have to go to a creek bed in Colorado? Would I have to go up to Alaska? Would I have to go to Africa? Where would you go? Like, if you were trying to find a similar material, where would you go?
Wasn't part of it though that they were like, through the CT scan and stuff, is that this isn't a rock that you just find necessarily in nature. I thought that was kind of the takeaway. It's like, because I think what Yep was saying earlier is like, there's always this like natural kind of like distribution of the different elements in the rock that performs patterns and stuff like that, right? This rock was literally like purely uniform.
Yeah.
And that's just not something that's really found in nature. And then and then it happens to have the fucking thing on it. And by the way, there's like moons on that shit. Look at it.
Yeah, there's a sun, and then there's 2 crescent moons, so it kind of mirrors, and then there's like 2 pyramids on the outer edges, you know.
Yeah,
No, go ahead.
Well,
no, but I would be wondering if you could find a similar type of rock. If you could, how hard would it be to replicate that same image on the same type of rock? Because they use a different rock with that stone cutter. And then would you need to use a laser? Would you need to use some type of like diamond cutter? You know, what tool would you need? Even on a different rock, what tool would you need to get that precision of a cut?
Yeah,
because they were saying how it's potentially like it could be, you know, aliens, or it could be something like super ancient. But then could you, like, how would you?
What do you mean by super ancient?
They just said no. So the host was saying how it's just ancient, you know, where I forget what year we were just talking about the
Puma Punka is like 10,000 years, they think.
Yeah, so he was saying how it could be, you know, hypothetically, maybe what if it's that old, right? Some ancient civilization.
Well, here's the thing: if so, are you implying that ancient civilizations could have had advanced technology that got lost through time that we have not yet discovered?
I think it's
impossible.
I think it's entirely possible based on
Yeah, I agree.
on what we're finding and how everything that we have right now, we can't figure out how this shit was made.
Especially something like that, like, so like when you say, oh, can we recreate that on that type of, like, whatever that material is, that rock, right? Could we right now replicate that to that precision?
Mm-hmm.
And so when I think of that, I mean, I don't know the answer to that, but when I think of it, I'm like, you're talking about, like, you know, devices that are able to use microscopes, and maybe even who knows what precision is beyond the microscope in terms of this rock, but what, it's something so tiny, the technology, that it would only seem like the only way you could do that is through that technology, right? You couldn't do it through some like macroscopic method, like sandblasting, right? Because it's not precise enough. It can give the illusion to the eyes that it looks the same, but you see what I'm saying?
Yep. Yep. And how expensive? How expensive would that device be? Because if it's a very expensive device, you're not just going to get some hillbilly cutting it in their garage. You're going to have to go to like some type of potentially national laboratory, someplace where they have very expensive equipment to actually do that.
Right. So in the end, it seems like whatever the fuck this rock is, some weird shit was going on with this rock in terms of high technology, right? High precision. There's magnetism associated with it. and so what is it? I mean, what is it? No.
I can't get up.
No. Just no. Hey, how are you doing? No. You have to unclick it, dude. You a fucking rookie on this shit. I do this shit every day of my life, man.
No, but there's definitely room to do more exploring and more research behind that rock. And then also, I'm not an expert, but I wouldn't be just carrying it around in my pocket.
But what is the rock? I mean, what is it? It's got the crop circle ties. I mean, that's crazy. Magnetism. No one knows what it is. I mean, what is it? What is this shit?
It was funny when that dude was like, hey, he's like, well, we got this little like polisher thing, and I can polish down like a little bit past the first layer, and then kind of see what's in there. And the guy's like, no, like, oh hell no, you're not.
Yeah, my baby.
Yeah.
But then when they finally did, he's crying.
Yep.
They did the end.
Yeah, they cut it open.
They shaved off a little piece on.
That's how they proved
that.
They proved that rock is not like a plaster or something.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Or it's not painted on.
Yeah.
So like he was pretty upset.
He was nervous. Definitely nervous. Yeah.
I think he cried, didn't he?
He was starting to tear up a little bit. Yeah.
And who knows? Okay, so how about this? This made me think of this right now. Do you remember you seen the guy who has the rock, right? Whatever his name is, Robert or whatever. He had the rock. He showed if you hold it in one hand and then put the other hand close by, the rock repelled the hand. I don't know if you saw that.
Well, the hand, yeah, it like moved with it, right?
Or I felt like it was more like a magnetic like push, like he was trying to get it and he couldn't. But either way, some weird energy going on where how can the magnet interact with the body, with our electromagnetic field? Because we all have one, right? And so is that what's happening?
I'll tell you one thing for sure it's happening, bro, is that guy's dying of cancer because that rock's got a lot of fucking energy going on with it.
Teleradiation poisoning.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that's weird. Like, why would it react? I mean, like, is it like fucking energy field?
Yeah, it's not like if you just grab a magnet right now, like a magnet when you were in 8th grade science class or something, right? Grab it. Are you having any kind of interaction with the magnetic wise? No, right? So why is it the rock is doing that? Has a different type of magnetic field. What if it's like personalized towards him?
That'd be interesting. That'd be
it's like
interesting.
the rock kind of like adapted to the energy with him or something.
Yeah,
Well,
it's weird.
that and then that kind of goes kind of similar down that route of like abduction stories, you know, where people are kind of marked and or they feel marked, and then UFOs they just see them like they're kind of tracking them throughout their life.
There's a rumor that they're like the best anal probe around. Like, oh, if you see that dude, pick him up. You're gonna have a good time. And then this poor guy, you know, UFOs coming, he turns around, he's just running. You know what's gonna happen, dude. You know?
Oh, man. But I just wonder kind of how often he now goes back out to that site looking for other stuff. You know, how deep down the rabbit hole that kind of brought him.
I think it's pretty weird, man. Like, why is it that guy just found that?
Right.
You know, and then you think about that whole electromagnetic effect with his body. Like what, you know, and he's emotional about it too.
Right.
You know, and like most people wouldn't be like, this is my rock. You know,
rock. Yeah.
it's rock, but I mean it's a weird rock, but wouldn't you want to know more about it? It was like there was an emotional attachment
it
to
was
the rock.
Precious, dude.
Precious.
Kind of, yeah. He had a similar thing. And I thought they were actually going to drill a hole in the back. I thought they were going to drill a hole in the
very
back.
traumatic.
Yeah, dude. They hurts us. They hurts us.
I can feel it. And who knows, man? Like it's so weird to think about. Like, what if that could be a thing? I mean, this thing, the whole thing to me is the fucking crop circle. I just feel like that part of it adds such a weird ass layer. Like, there's no way in a million years that someone would be like, yeah, this guy, he made this whole thing up and he made a conspiracy and then he did the crop field and all this shit. No, like who would do that? Who would be that great at doing that? You know.
Well,
like,
also like
could he do it too? It's like I don't think he
That's what I'm
could.
saying.
You
No
know,
one could do that.
wanted.
You'd have to have billions of dollars.
right. I mean,
Yeah.
just you would it would be really weird. You know.
And that's your thing. Like, I have hella money. This is a good idea. We're gonna do this. We're gonna trick everyone with the rock.
Mhm.
You know, it makes no sense. So it's like it's a thing, and that's why I keep asking: is the fuck is this rock?
And then
what is it?
That chick, I forgot her name or what her role was, but that chick, she was saying how the pattern, you know, could be either like a date or a calendar or some type of like map
Linda
or
Moulton
something.
Howe.
Yeah.
Right? Oh,
Yeah.
she's great.
That
Oh,
chick,
she knows a lot of stuff, man. But hey, it's true though. Like the rock, you know.
It's a cool design.
I mean, what's the point of that?
But I mean, it's like two suns, a crescent moon, you know, as above, so below kind of thing, like mirroring that.
You know, it almost looks like a key thing that you could like fit into another device and like turn it. You know, and what's weird is there is stories. God dang, man, I wish I would know the name of this.
That's some Goonie stuff, you know. The lighthouse and the rock all fit the bill.
Right? Yeah.
You gotta turn it 90
I
degrees.
think I have a map.
Yeah. Play the piano.
Yeah, play the keys to get out of here.
Yeah. No, but for real, there's a place in South America somewhere. I can't remember what country it was or whatever, but I don't know if you guys ever seen this. It's a humongous thing carved out of the mountain, and it's like a huge door, right? It's huge. It's like probably 40 feet tall or something.
Oh, yes, I've seen this.
You know what I'm talking about? And there's a thing in it. It looks like you should be able to put some type of device, put it in, and turn it. And stories of the ancient legends is that actually happened. And the guy who's like the head guy of the society or whatever did that, and then the stone turned into like a portal and they're just gone, and now that thing still exists. Like, you know, this is what I'm talking about. It's like this shit, Roswell Rock. There's no legend about the Roswell Rock. When you look at like things like I described, there's legends about everything around the world, basically. You know, pyramids, whatever you name it. But nobody has any kind of legend around Roswell Rock. That's more like a modern thing. It happened in our generation of people, and the crop circle happened too. So to me, it's really, really fucking wild, dude. Wild.
It's so weird that he happened to have been walking around and just found that.
Yeah. It's like they put it in front of him, like, hey, buddy, look at that. Or whoever it was, like, this is a thing. And
and then I get how they say that the government combed that entire area and got all that
got the weather balloon
crap out of there. But if you think about where they're at, there's a lot of wind. It's high desert country. There's a lot of wind and a lot of sand. I bet there's some stuff buried deep under there, man.
Yeah, it moves around hella.
Especially over, it's what, over 70 decades or seven decades.
Think of the Sphinx in Egypt. When they found the Sphinx, it was basically buried, essentially. Right? I mean, that's all the sand shifting shit, right? When you're in the desert like that,
and it's huge.
Huge. So the little stone, maybe there's a bunch of crap underneath that place too. Who knows? Who knows, man? But
if that thing is magnetized,
it is.
But so it's magnetized. So wouldn't you be, dude? I would be out there, the same location, with one of those beach magnet detectors. Dude, my sister has one.
But that just checks for metals. This thing doesn't even have metal. I thought it's just stone.
Oh, that's right. But is there a device? Like, I would get like a giant magnet then out there. I'd be doing something out there just to kind of explore around that area to see if there's any other rocks.
Levels have
like
done that.
Buried under,
Hey, whatever it is, I think I would. That's actually kind of an interesting idea. Is like if you got a metal detector like that you take,
like a Looney Tunes magnet, that.
Well, but what if you put it up to the rock though? Would that thing detect the rock?
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
I don't think it would. That's my hypothesis. Because
it's
not a metal.
The same type of yeah. It definitely leaves a lot of unanswered questions, but then also more room for just kind of, if you had the time and the money to do more a deeper dive on it.
Yeah, that dude's like fucking, like, we found that rock. It's like finally we're gonna be famous.
Dude, honestly, though, I would be asking a couple other geologists to look at, not just one. I wouldn't have gone to one local one. I would have asked, like, hey man, there's some people up in Harvard, up at Stanford. I want them to peek at it. They might have some other ideas, but I would definitely be having more than just a couple people.
But it is his precious, so
yeah.
I mean, like, I want to have one with a ponytail for sure. So like that, like, box was checked. Ponytail geologist.
You checked.
Automatically go together.
Wait, I thought that geologist they used though was long hair. Was he not?
Yeah, he had a ponytail. That's what I'm saying.
Oh yeah, you had to check.
That's the criterion. It's necessary criteria.
Yeah, so he did that part. He did his part.
Dude, I took geology in college, man. I thought biology was way easier. Geology was hard. I thought geology was gonna be fun. You look at rocks.
Was it really hard, dude, or were you just like, this is dumb?
It was hard.
I'm not interested.
I'm talking about your rocks, man.
I thought it was significantly harder than biology or chemistry.
That's your job as a geologist. You're like, look at this rock. What can we learn from it?
It's a rock.
It was layers.
Probably here like 20 billion years ago, and
you tell right here with this old notch right here. Yeah,
it was probably someone like touched it once.
3,000 rains.
Yeah.
It's kind of a weird thing to think about, right? Because rocks are like, they are things from long ass time ago. I mean, and if a rock like this, that just like when you look at this rock, it doesn't look like a rock that's hella old ass rock, right? It looks like a new rock.
It looks like something that you would have sculpted in like art class.
Mm-hmm. Like clay, put the pottery in the oven or something.
Like, I would use them as a paperweight. Yeah, I just created a paperweight. See, it's a little.
Oh, look at that nice design.
Clay mold with shit that
they have moons
on it.
I feel like if you're like a cop in like Middle Earth and like Legolas went by and you like gave you some shit, you threw him against the wall and you searched him,
Like,
you
you got
probably
this
pulled a
rock.
little rock out of his pocket. It'd be like one of the things
Yeah.
you'd find in his pockets.
It's like a currency, dude. Like this rock, dude, is worth like $10,000 or whatever. But then the other guy got the rock with the extra design. He got the NFT, dude, gaining value over time. You know what I'm saying?
100,000
Oh,
shekels.
dude, that is the original. Think about it, that is the original NFT.
That's what I'm saying, man. No one doesn't answer though. I asked you guys like 5 times already. Like, what do you
What?
think the rock is? Nobody.
What do I think it
Oh,
is?
I
Compass.
I think
Yeah.
it's pretty wild to answer that question. To tell you the truth.
That's what I
yeah,
think it is.
it's interesting that's it, because some theorists have said that the crop circles could be potentially used for like navigational purposes, and so it makes sense if that rock, if it is a mirrored image from a crop circle, it's a good
Well, I'll have to disagree with the navigational purpose of the crop circle. I mean, we still haven't done a podcast on the crop circles, but really everything I understand about crop circles, the more I learn about it. I mean, there's obviously some ones that are like totally like bullshit, bogus shit, but there's definitely ones that are like super legit. And there's been ones where it's literally like an entire like binary system of communication, like zeros and ones embedded into the entire thing with literal messages in it. And so when I see that, and I believe that this crop circle that is the identical twin of this rock appeared, I don't think that's a coincidence. I think it's a direct communication. Human beings don't have the sophistication to do that kind of thing. I just don't think. I mean, just think about what's going on in the world right now and how many things you can think of. Like, yeah, humans are basically pretty fucking dumb, right? I don't think they could accomplish that.
Well, so do you think if it's for communications, like it's an ancient alien walkie-talkie?
I think it's more like for us, for humans. I think it's messages for humans. And it's same with Roswell. I think it's not a coincidence that this thing was found near Roswell, because that's kind of when it all began, right? And the cover-ups and all this stuff. I really do think there's a intelligent reason why the things we find are the things we find. We're supposed to find them, and we're supposed to figure out things, but we're too caught up in things that aren't important, and so we don't necessarily uncover those things.
Well, it kind of makes me like, just that idea makes me think of the movie Arrival, where the whole movie was about aliens that arrived, and then scientists have to figure out how to communicate with them.
That was a good movie. Yeah,
Great movie. But like, I mean, it brings up a good point. Like, maybe like as soon as we figure out these patterns and messages, they're like, great, if you figure out this shit, we'll actually show up and say hi.
yeah, and I don't when you say they, I don't want to associate they.
Oh, sorry.
With, no.
Wait. I was gonna say a joke.
Sorry.
Never mind.
No, go ahead. Good.
No. I can't say the joke now.
No, I know. I know what I was entailing, but my point is that they doesn't necessarily mean aliens from outer space. I really do think it's a distinct possibility that life has evolved here in such a way that we can't even understand, and all that history is lost, and maybe some remnants of it are around today, and maybe species that existed here hundreds of millions of years ago even are still here. Or is it that there is the UFO? Okay, so I'm trying to go down a little rabbit hole here. Sorry. I do think it's a distinct possibility that all this UFO shit, all the shit we find, is in some kind of part of our reality that our perception cannot perceive because of our senses. And every once in a while, people are able to tap into that shit and actually perceive it. I do think that's very much a thing that could be a possibility, just so you know.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's the 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 energy around us is all around us always, right?
Well,
How much of it do you perceive?
you were
Hardly
saying
any.
how how uh fuck, how physicists might be learning that everything we know about physics is wrong.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a big thing right now. I mean, they restarted that Large Hadron Collider. So they had intent of doing that. Like they did a whole bunch of fix-ups and took a long time, a couple of years even, I think. But it's not, I mean, they had the intent of looking for certain things, but it's been kind of suspicious for a while because everything we keep learning about quantum mechanics and quantum world is that it's really not consistent with the everything else. And I mean, I don't know, I'm not an expert on this, but there are things they're finding, like this little quark here, that quark there, is going to basically demolish our whole understanding of standard model. And we're going to have to kind of reimagine what it means for physics on that level. And so we're getting closer, but until we can control the weather, we ain't that close. That's the way I look at it.
Yeah. Until then, we just have more unanswered questions.
We should be able to get energy from whatever we want. And if we can't get energy from whatever we want, then you should basically think to yourself, we're not that tight, right? We can't even figure out all kinds of stupid societal norms and shit. It's just such a weird ass time to live in right now, I feel like.
Definitely.
Oh, especially with everything collapsing. Everything feels like it's completely collapsing. Globally, locally,
Yeah, I mean, I don't feel it directly, but you sense it, I think, and
yeah, there's a thick layer of impending doom. I feel like most people are feeling. That's the vibe. You know how when you can walk into a room and you can think, right, there was just an argument in this room, right? There's like the air's thick,
yeah,
or like, hey, no, you guys just banged. I could sense that. You guys just banged. I could sense that. The air is thick. I could smell it. Get that vibe of like, oh, you guys just fought.
Yep.
There's definitely not the vibe on this planet of like a post-coitus, cuddle.
No, but I feel like also there's cycles to shit, and this is kind of part of the cycle where you have to get over that hump again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, look at the 70s, just after fucking Vietnam ended, the gas prices skyrocketed, right? Then they ran out of gas. The fucking inflation was all-time high, and people were pretty pissed off and protesting all kinds of different shit with injustice. It's kind of similar to what happened like over the last couple of years. It's definitely, I think it's definitely like a roller coaster. It goes up, down, up, down.
Yeah, that's interesting, especially after the war in Afghanistan, pulling out, that ending.
That had trickle effects, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we go real deep in this, but it really is just like humanity is just too dumb to exist and evolve in a rational way that makes sense. It's a weird balance, right? Because like if we all were just like random fools living in the jungles, there's no technology and there's no civilization, then it's going to be a different story, right? And those genes are still in us. Those innate ways of surviving are still in us. But the way the world society is constructed, for the most part, not entirely, obviously, but in these especially westernized civilizations, is that, hey, you should have died in the jungle. The orangutan gotcha, or whatever, right? And those genes were gone now to be reproduced, but those keep being reproduced. because it's enabled. And so we produce the situation we're in which a minority becomes a majority. And then it's kind of scary, right? Because there's more dumb people than smart people.
Yep.
You would
know
have
what I mean?
thought, after everything that we've invented, it's because we're like breeding smart people, but like, I don't know.
We're not, though. We're just, it's all the green money has enabled this situation to happen. If dumb people can keep doing stupid shit and people can keep getting money off people that are dumb doing stupid shit, they're gonna keep doing that shit, right? And eventually there's so many stupid shits that they start making decisions as a culture to make, to like, yeah, we're gonna do this instead of this. It's quite frightening, but I don't think it's that surprising, because
It's crazy, yo. Like, just like a year ago, they're like, someone was just like, you know what, science schmience. And everybody's like, yeah, science schmience.
oh yeah,
And
schmites.
it's like, yeah, like that happened like overnight.